23rd of October, 1:36 p.m. The Old Bailey, Defendant's Antechamber. That's a lot of dots. Mr. Naruhodo, do you realize what you've done? Yes? I'm so sorry. You should be. The amount of things you did wrong. I mean, I understand, but still. I was wrong. You were right. I tricked you. You trusted me. I dragged you into my mess. Oh, how did it ever come to this? I'm so sorry. Did you really have no idea, Professor? About what Mr. Drebber was really up to, I mean? About what he was really constructing? Naturally. That machine was the embodiment of my hypothesis, of all my hopes and dreams. I had complete faith in it. Alright. In that case, I won't say any more. Now, sadly, the murder accusation against you still stands. So we must do as much investigating as we can before the trial resumes tomorrow. Well, thank you for doing so much for me. I should bloody hope so. Jeez. Oh, yeah, Susato. I'm so sorry for arriving late this morning, Mr. Naruhodo. Arriving late? Didn't you receive my postcard? I wanted to let you know when I'd arrive. Postcard? What postcard? I hid it from you, Runo, so it would be a surprise. Oh. That's nice of her. I like that, because it's like, this is a nice surprise. Well, did it work? I was surprised, alright. Especially when she threw me to the ground. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I was just so happy to see you again that it sort of slipped out. A takedown slipped out? Maybe we could stick to more traditional displays of emotion in future. Susie's train was late into London Victoria this morning, you see. Well, we made the coachman really whip the horses hard so she didn't miss the whole trial. I was watching from the gallery for a while, but in the end, I'm afraid I couldn't contain myself. Well, I'm glad you didn't. Oh. Having you at my side in court gives me the strength I need to win. So, I'm, delighted to see you back in London. Oh, you're too kind, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm delighted to be here. I hope I can continue to be of service to you. Of course. So, what's brought you back? Did Professor Mikitaba not protest? Well, let's save all that conversation for when we're back at home, shall we? You know, I made one of my most special blends ever for this special occasion. Oh, Iris, how wonderful. I can't wait. Let's go! Cup of tea awaits! Susato-san was back in London. It's hard to describe how happy that made me feel at the time, but despite my elation, our tale was about to take yet another extraordinary turn. Extraordinary! Yes. Don't ask me, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder myself. To be continued, like right now. Come on! No. 23rd of October, 2:41 p.m. Naruhodo's Legal Consultancy. Oh, this room, it's been too long. We need to ask about the shovel spade situation here, don't we? We really do. Hasn't changed in the slightest, though. And it's been some 6 months, hasn't it? That's a long time for things to stay so familiar. I didn't know when you might return. And I wanted everything to be as you'd left it. Aww. But it has been some 6 months, it's true. So is your father alright, Susie? What happened? My father. Yes, Professor Mikitaba. I mean, It was half a year ago, but that's why you went back to Japan. Because of the telegram you received saying you'd fallen ill with a very high fever for some unknown reason. That's right. So I was surprised to learn you'd be coming back so soon. Surprised, but happy. She's so adorable. I think I wrote about it in my letter to you. That it was all a trick. My father is in fine health, and I'm obviously very relieved about that. Well, we're all delighted to have you back. It was quite by accident that I've been able to return to Europe, actually. It's because of a very grand conference called the International Forensic Science Symposium. The International Forensic... That's the same symposium Lord Strongheart mentioned. Anyway, I've arrived safe and sound, and all that matters is that I'm here now. After all, I haven't yet fulfilled my promise to you, Iris. Oh! You must tell us everything that happened while you were back in Japan. Yes, of course. I shall. And there's one other thing. Something you wrote in your letter that particularly grabbed my attention. About you know who. About Kazuma. I know. I'll tell you all that I can. Well, obviously. Thinking back, that spade's been here since we first moved in, hasn't it? I'm sure I've told you before, Mr. Naruhodo. It's not a spade. It's a shovel. No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade. No, spades are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a shovel. The great spade shovel war rages on. We'll never find an answer to it. Let's see about... is there anything really like this? It's... that's worth investigating around here. It's like, yes! Yes, there is. It must be about a year ago now. I wrote a really long story based on some of my father's old notes. It's about one of Hurley's great exploits. I called it The Hound of the Baskervilles. Yes, tell us more about The Hound of the Baskervilles. But then Mr. Schlomes forbade you from publishing it, and put the manuscript somewhere nobody could get their hands on it. So nobody knows anything about it apart from Hurley and I. But for some reason, you knew the title of it, didn't you, Susie? Oh, it sounds so exciting. The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it. And you wouldn't tell me how you'd come to know it? Yes, but I made you a promise that I would explain one day, didn't I? I think it's time. The time has come. Oh! I'm only sorry I had to keep it from you for so long, Iris. The Hound of the Baskervilles. Oh my. It was completely by accident that I came to know the title of your manuscript, Iris. It was a short while before we left Japan. I was cleaning Father's study, and I saw something on his writing desk. A large box of papers. There was a label affixed to the box that was written in English. It read, The Hound of the Baskervilles. What? My Baskerville story? Of course, I had no idea what it was at the time, but Father came in and... Susato? What are you doing? Oh, Father. Did you look at those papers? No, I simply read the label, that's all. Well, put it out of your mind. Sorry? Forget that you ever saw it, and certainly don't tell anybody else about this. Do you understand? Well, that just made her remember it, you idiot. But What was Iris's manuscript doing in Japan? I have no idea. But when I heard Iris mention the word Baskerville that day, the title just slipped out. I would never have guessed that it was an unpublished account of one of Mr. Shlom's exploits. Curiouser and curiouser. When I returned to Japan, I asked Father to explain, but he refused to answer any of my questions, and there was no sign of the big box in his office. That's really all I know about it. I have no doubt that Father has a really good reason for being so secretive about it, but still. I made up my mind to explain myself to both of you. Thank you. Well, thank you for being so honest, Susie. Indeed. But it does raise more questions. It does raise more questions. Right, let's speak to Susato here. Back in Britain. When I first arrived back in Japan, I really thought I'd never be allowed to return to Britain. But curiously, after that awful trial at the Supreme Court, Father's mood changed entirely. The awful trial, oh yes, for the murder of Giselle Brett. Oh, you dressed as a man then, didn't you, Susie? Oh, well, yes. Since women are forbidden in the courtroom, I had no choice. Wow, amazing. I wish I'd seen it. Don't you, Runo? Yes, I suppose so. I want to play at being lawyer now. I could wear a false mustache, maybe. I don't think any mustache could hide the fact that you're just 10 years old, Iris. There's something else I've been wanting to ask you, Miss Susato. It's about the real reason why Professor Mikutaba summoned you back to Japan. You said in your letter it was something to do with that convict's loot that we found in Mr. Natsumi's lodgings. That's right. The very large dog collar we found with the bee emblem on it. It seems Mr. Natsumi included a drawing of the collar in the report he submitted about his time in Britain. I understand that when Father saw the report, he turned as white as a sheet. Why would that be then? Father came to Britain himself, of course, to study. It was some time ago now, but he stayed for 6 years. I can only imagine that something must have happened during that time. But if he refuses to tell me what it was, then I intend to find the answers for myself. And I've decided that I, for one, won't keep any more secrets. Oh, Susie. That's a very meaningful look Susato-san's giving Iris there. Forensic Science Symposium, then? Lord Strongheart mentioned something about that symposium too. I think he said that investigative authorities from 40 different countries would attend? Yes, and from Japan, my father and Judge Jigoku have been invited. It's something of an honor, I believe. Well, Professor Mikutaba is the leading expert in forensic medicine in our country, after all. But who's the other person you mentioned? A judge, did you say? Yes, His Excellency Judge Seishiro Jigoku. You've met him, Mr. Naruhodo. Last year, in the Supreme Court. Can't possibly have forgotten. I know. That terrible trial of yours, where you were accused of murder. Ah, yes, I try to think of that as a positive turning point in my life these days. Such an epic beard. I'm thinking of growing out my beard. Like, I've got a beard already, but it's a short beard. But it's like, I let it grow out a little bit, give it a bit more volume, and it's kind of a bit fluffy, but in a nice way. Like, you can like put your fingers through it, and it's like, ooh, it's a nice fluffiness to it. And just thinking maybe grow out the chin aspect a bit more, give my face sort of more of a square shape. I just like the idea of that. So I feel like it could work very well Anyway, well, it was Judge Jigoku who presided over that trial. If I'm perfectly honest, I'd be happy never to see that man's face again in my life. Oh, well, anyway, as Father was invited to the symposium, he agreed to me returning to Britain too. He won't actually arrive until next month, but, well, I couldn't wait. So I pleaded with him, and in the end he agreed to me going on ahead. Yes, about the symposium. It seems as though Lord Strongheart has put in an awful lot of work to make it happen. It's obviously very important. I believe it is, yes. As I understand it, Lord Strongheart organized the entire event himself. I think he's hoping that by achieving exceptional results, he'll get the job of Attorney General. The most senior position in the British justice system. He's hoping to use his power to create the world's finest policing institution. That's what Father said anyway. Apparently it's Lord Strongheart's lifelong ambition. Does Professor Mikataba know Lord Strongheart personally then? I wonder. Actually, Lord Strongheart gave me a long speech all about this very subject only yesterday. Yep, fade out, fade in. But I sort of lost the will to live early on and didn't really listen to much of it. How trying for you. Giselle Brett is just like, oh dear. Giselle Brett. The woman whose unforgivable actions ended in me being wrongly accused of a crime I didn't commit. The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes, Giselle Brett. That's a name I won't forget for as long as I live. The extraordinary thing is, though, it seems it's a name we should all forget. Sorry? Since the incident, our government's intelligence services have been investigating Miss Brett. But it turns out that an Englishwoman by the name of Giselle Brett didn't actually exist. Oh shit. Didn't exist? But how can that be? It was a pseudonym. Her real name was Shin. Shin? And she wasn't a visiting student either, that was her friend. Shin? That's not an English name. A front? Who on earth was she then? Miss A. Shin. Her name is literally all our intelligence services have been able to ascertain about her. A. Shin. It's not an English name. Nobody knows why or even how she came to be in Japan. It's a complete mystery. But that makes no sense. It's no easy task to be accepted as a foreign student anywhere. What could the woman have been up to? I'm afraid I really don't know. The only thing we can be sure of is that she had some business in our country that we don't yet understand. And now she's been killed. While all the questions surrounding her existence remain unanswered. I'm afraid so. A. Shin. Who on earth was she? Why do I feel as though I've heard that name before somewhere? Have we? Have we? I can't remember. A. Shin. A. Shin. I honestly can't remember. When did that come up? After my friend Ray's trial, the reporter who actually killed Miss Brett said something very strange. I know the truth. I know you had an hand in what went on. And that visiting student's fate. Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship. Yeah, I'm guessing because he didn't. And that he'll never. Obviously, I couldn't ask him to elaborate at the time. But later I visited the man in his prison cell and asked him what he was going to say about Kazuma-sama. And what did you learn? What? After he died on the voyage to Great Britain, his body should have been unladen at the port of Hong Kong and passed into the care of the consulate staff there. Should have been. But it turns out that his body never arrived, which means it went to Britain, which means there's a body somewhere. It's probably warm, going around doing things. Again, they're not trying to hide it. Why? That's what's intriguing. Why are they not trying to hide it? It just disappeared. What? Kazuma's body vanished? Our government tried to cover the fact up, it seems. They erected a grave on the cliffs by our hometown. Except Kazuma-sama isn't there. Did Professor Mikutaba know about this? Oh, he probably does, yeah. Yes, it would seem that he did. But he didn't tell me. They're still investigating what happened to Kazuma-sama's body as we speak. I just don't believe it. What's this acute feeling of apprehension I have all of a sudden? Kazuma mystery. Thinking back now, some of the things that happened on the SS Burya were definitely strange. Oh yeah! I mean, after he died, we never saw his body again, did we? Could it be? Could it be that he's actually still alive? Stop it, Mr. Naruhodo. It's too much to bear. Like, again, he's figuring this out fast because the clues are there. But again, like there's that like above game sort of thing. Why are they making it so obvious so quickly? Like they could have had this as like some grand mystery that we had to figure out and be like, oh my god, kind of like there's not going to be a reveal later in terms of, oh my god, he's alive. There's not going to be that now. So why destroy that opportunity in terms of the story? What do they have cooking? What do the writers have cooking for us that they felt that they didn't need to have that surprise? That's what's exciting here. There has to be something else that's bigger than the fact he's alive. Ooh. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, just thinking about the possibility pains me so very much. Cast your mind back for a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. When Kazuma-sama was discovered, Mr. Shlomes was there, wasn't he? So, my logic is like, he was... like, because obviously he's related to stuff going on as well. The entire situation was fabricated, maybe? Like, the entire murder and everything was just a fabrication. And Shlomes was part of it. And he definitely examined the body. I remember it clearly. Ah, you're right. So if Kazuma hadn't actually been dead at all, it would mean that Mr. Shlomes had lied to us. But there's no reason why he would possibly have done such a thing. I suppose that's true, yes. The idea that he might still be alive somewhere. You know, I'm really, like, the first game, it's like after reflection and time away from it, it's like, yeah, it was a good game. Nothing amazing about it. But it did feel like setup. Like there was, obviously there was stuff that hadn't been answered, you know, the discs and stuff like that. It did feel like setup, and it all depended on this game, whether or not that setup was good. And so far, the stuff we've had, it's like, yeah, I'm really liking the payoff from the setup so far. It's like all this stuff here. It's like, ooh, what is happening? What is going on? How the dominoes are falling together to reveal this grand picture that we didn't realize was there. Why they made it out of dominoes, I don't know. But you know, the idea that he might still be alive somewhere. It wants to fill me with hope, but I can't let it. Because if it turned out not to be true... It is. Then I'd be back at the bottom of that awful pit of despair again. Oh no, give her a hug. Oh, I'm terrified of what that might do to me. Oh, Miss Susato. Give her a hug. I know she's given the idea the thought it deserves. It's Susato-san we're talking about, after all. So I probably shouldn't push it now. Get over there and give her a bloody hug. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I'm ready to start investigating if you are. I've committed every detail about this case to memory. And Iris has told me about the disturbing happenings at the Waxwork Museum as well. So, you're fully abreast of the situation already, Miss Susato. I'd expect nothing less, to be honest. I would think our first protocol should be to investigate this Mr. Drebber, the engineer responsible for building the elaborate machine that was used to effect this extraordinary trick. What's that from? That's from something. Like it's a reference in my head, like someone saying extraordinary. But I can't remember what it's from. Someone remind me, please. If you know, obviously. If you don't, you're not going to be able to, so... Hence the dilemma. Yes, a conjurer of sorts by the sound of it. Well known in the fields of science and magic. Then we need to go and arrest him. Well, yes. He must know the truth behind this case, so I agree we really do need to find the man. Sounds like it's a case of tracking someone down. Which is a job for the police, or a great detective. Are we supposed to guess who she might be thinking of? We don't have much time, so we need to get started straight away, I think. Ginny! Good idea. Well, best of luck then. Oh, you're not coming today? I'm going to Brixton Road shortly for the herb market. But let me know later how you got on, won't you? Suppose we shall. That was a little abrupt. The pull of the herb market must be strong. Alright, so I think it best, like we had a lot going on there, that I think it's probably best that we end this part here, and in the next part we move on over to... Well, let's see if like we can find Shlomes. He's probably at Tuspel's, but there's several places we want to go to. Let's just move down the list, I feel. That'll probably be a good idea. So next part, we'll head off to the Shlomes' suite. If there's nothing there, we'll just move on. You know how it is, you know how it is. So, we shall see you in the next part. Ta-da for now.